applause to the wonderful Christopher Hogg, who's going to come and talk about Sellotape for Christmas.
Right, hello. Nice to be here. I've been here once before where I told a story about my dad. And he comes back into this story. So if any of you were there for 9 holidays I wish I'd never been on, he's coming back. So I just have to ask you a question first of all. Can any of you cast your minds back to 2002? Yeah? Good. I will remind you what was at number 1. It was Nicole Kidman with Something Stupid. And does anybody want to guess at what the number 1 film was at this week in 2002? The Holiday? No, it was nearly The Holiday. It was, in fact, Lord of the Rings, The Twin Towers. And so it was the time of year where I think I was 29 and still skint from being a student. And it was the time of year where I would get calls from my sister, because my sister was called Alex, and she ran an entertainment company for out-of-work actors. You know, they always have like side skills and side hustles, and it was called Big Hand People. There we go. That's what this talk is called. Sellotape Christmas. Big Hand People. And so whenever my phone rang, my Nokia 3210, which has just been re-released actually, just in case you're looking for Christmas gift ideas that want to take you back to 2002. Whenever she rang, I knew that I was always so utterly skint that I would always have to say yes. And so she rang saying, "Chris, have you seen the Twin Towers?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I've seen the Twin Towers. I'm a bit of a fanboy for the Twin Towers." And so it was like, "Good, what is a Nazgul?" And I was like, right person. A Nazgul is one of the Dark Riders who is one of Sauron's chief agents. And she's like, "Brilliant. How do you fancy being a Dark Rider at a Lord of the Rings Christmas party for Goldman Sachs? It's 250 quid. Take it or leave it. You won't be alone. There will be other people there as well. I've got a brilliant dwarf who's agreed to be Bilbo for the first 45 minutes, and then Frodo for the second 45 minutes, and he's chucked in a gimlet for the final 45 minutes for absolutely free." Needless to say, I had no choice but to say yes. You see, I wanted to be a writer, and the thing about writers is that they always have side jobs, like William Burroughs, he was an exterminator in Chicago. There was Harper Lee, she sold airline tickets. And Philip Glass, he drove taxis. Everybody's got a side hustle. And so when she says, "Would you like to be a Dark Rider?" I say yes, and, oh, no. There we go. That is a Dark Rider, unless you've never seen one before. And there's me just trying to make a decision. Yes, I will. So that went quite well. And so on the 23rd of December 2002, I get another call from her. The Nokia 3210 lights up. And she goes, "Look, Chris, it's your dad. He's fallen... Well, he's had a fall down the escalators at Bentalls." And I don't know if any of you have ever been to Bentalls, but that is the Bentalls department store in Kingston. And if you're living in Norbiton or Surbiton, or even as far as Worcester Park, that is your Harrods. You walk in and it's got these amazing kind of blowy things that kind of blow on your hair as you go in. And it's just like some like nana just like ruffling your hair. It's really nice. I remember. And in fact, I remember my own nan kind of taking me in there one Christmas and just feeling that hot air and just thinking, you know what? Everything's all right. It's all brilliant. Anyway, back to my sister. He's had a fall. And I'm like, shit, no. And she's like, it's okay, he's in A&E, and I'm just like, is he dead? Is he, because our dad was always on our mind, because I think by the time that this story came out in 2002, he had He had lost his driving license. He had lost his house. He had lost his second wife. At one point, he had been the youngest company director in Britain in 1977 because, crazily, he'd walked into a casino as a tyre fitter and then started gambling his weekly wages. And the number 0 came up 6 times on the trot. And the chances of that happening are in fact 2.4 billion to 1. And so he walked out 15 minutes later, absolutely loaded with £14,500. Paid off his mortgage, asked his boss if he could invest in the company, bang, he's one of the youngest company directors that this country has ever seen. But by 2002, he is down on his luck and he's fallen down the escalators of the Bentalls shopping centre, which, interestingly, is actually modelled on Hampton Court. I went to Hampton Court with my mum this week, and I just saw all the same designs. It's just like, anyway, it's all in the detail, isn't it, life? So, he's fallen down the stairs, and so my sister then asks me this question that I know is coming, which is like, look, I can't lose the Bentalls gig. You know, it's the day before Christmas. Bentalls cannot not have a Father Christmas before Christmas. Can you, Chris, can you be Father Christmas? And I'm like, what? Me? Be Father Christmas? You know, what? Pretending to be my own dad and putting on my own dad's beard for someone who doesn't even really exist. And she's just like, stop being a smartass for 5 minutes. Look, it's important. We've got to keep him off the streets. Will you do it? And I'm just like, but I'm 29. I'm a writer. And she's just like, think of the money. It's Christmas. So I have little choice but to, say, all right, I will accept the job as Father Christmas. And so she meets me the next morning about 7:30. It's really dark, it's really cold, and she's there with a hold-all, and she meets me from the bus, and we're walking towards Bentalls. And in the bag are I think there was some boots with fur lining. There was a kind of big red Velcro jacket with a big black belt. There was some little reading glasses from Boots. And there was a white wig, and a beard. And she picks the beard out, and then she just reaches in the bag again and picks out some Febreze. And I'm just like, why have you got Febreze, and why are you pointing at that beard? And she's like, well, you just can't put these things in the wash. And I'm just like, why would you put it in the wash? And it dawns on me that it's my dad's beard. It's my dad's beard that he's been wearing for around 6 weeks. Kind of smokes 40 Rothmans a day. Hopefully he took the beard off in between when he went for fag breaks. But she just looks at it, and I'm just like, I can't put on my own dad's beard. It's just weird. To which she says, look, sometimes you've just got to make grown-up decisions. You've got to be a grown-up. Oh, it was difficult. You could never say no. But then she just starts spraying it Febreze all over it, like she's spinning a pot. And then she hands it over, and I bring it to my face, and I swear I have never smelt anything so disgusting in my entire life. It is the worst. It's just the worst. And so she kind of puts it all back in the bag, and by that point we're at the back doors of Bentalls, and as you walk through there is that kind of incredible blowy thing. It's very quality Bentalls, I think. I have mentioned that word a lot, haven't I? It was one of the things my ex-partner said about me. She goes, you do talk about Bentalls quite a lot. And to which she would then also kind of add things like, stop being Bentalls. And I'm just like, I think it's because it rhymed with mentals, but obviously, I can talk about it as much as I like now. Hence this conversation. So, we walk in, and I don't know if you've ever been in a department store when there's nobody on the tills, the cameras aren't working, and it's just huge, and it's the pinnacle of capitalism. And I'm just like, wow. I mean, it can't be stealing, can it? If something falls into your pocket as you walk past. It's just not, because it's not even a shop. Shop doesn't even want to be a shop, and your nan would have given you that anyway if she'd have been around, but she's not around. I took some cufflinks. I didn't even have a shirt that needed cufflinks. I just felt that I needed the cufflinks, so I put them in my pocket. I asked security where I can get change and where the grotto is, and they tell me that the grotto is out of action. And the reason the grotto is out of action is it's got a power cut. And so consequently, they have erected a throne around the stairwell. There's four floors of stairs and there's a throne at the bottom. And so what I then had to do was then go to the toilets, and then I kind of put on the suit. I put on the Velcro suit and the padding, and then I kind of, what do I do after that? I put on the boots, and then I kind of put on the hat, and then I irk at putting on the beard because I know that I'm going to have to breathe through my nose for the next 8 hours, but I put it on and look in the mirror and I'm like, shit, man. You are Father Christmas, and you've made the role of your own. Your Father Christmas isn't consumerist. He's a kleptomaniac. He steals things. He's a middle-class looter. That's who your Father Christmas is. So you can tell I was trying to get into character to kind of just get through the day. So I then went through Bentalls and then down to where the throne was, and it's got loads of fake snow, and it's got a couple of stuffed reindeers, and I'm not alone because there are 2 elves, and I kind of, as I'm looking around, they suddenly appear they drop down either side, and one of them's called Sarah, and one of them's called Lorna. And Sarah has an audition for Greece, and Lorna, you can probably guess, does not have an audition for Greece. And so after 6 weeks of working together, and my dad, they detest each other with such profundity that you could just imagine them in a fight if they weren't being professional. Anyway, once they got over the fact that I wasn't my own dad, they then kind of just got on with the day, and they ran a very, very tight ship. I mean, I could understand, after half an hour, I could understand they were kind of angry because, after half an hour of listening to Christmas in a Winter Wonderland, you kind of go a bit mad. And that was exactly what was the whole atmosphere was. And I went to wonder whether my dad had actually thrown himself down the escalators. But he hadn't. I think at that point he was working out how to sue Bentalls because he liked money. He was always happy when he had money. When he didn't have any money, he couldn't be generous. And when he couldn't be generous, life didn't have much meaning for him. And so the children start walking in. And there's just loads of them. And the first one I remember was she looked like Queen Victoria. She had the brightest, reddest hair and the bluest eyes. And one of the elves helps her up the stairs, and she whispers in my ear. First of all, she didn't. I practiced in my deep voice, go, and what would you like for Christmas? Have you been good? And which is about as far as I could imagine. I hadn't had much training. And she looks at her mum as if to say, have I been good? And the mum goes, you have been good. And so she whispers in my ear and says, I would like sellotape. Excuse me? I want sellotape. Sellotape? Yes. Sellotape for Christmas. And I say, well, I will remember and I will bring you some sellotape. And she's absolutely ecstatic. A 3-year-old girl who wants sellotape, she can have it if she wants it. And suddenly I'm ecstatic. I'm just like, wow, this is all right. The next kid was brought along by a dad. And dads do this the world over. They just get their kids' stuff way too early. And so this boy must have been about 18 months old. And, it reminded me of my dad got me a motorbike when I was 7, for crying out loud. I mean, that was just, not, anyway. His dad brings him up and he says, oh, look, it's Santa Claus. And the boy just looks at me, and I've never heard such a soul wail of terror, panic before. And he's just eyes filled with tears, and there's no consoling him. And even when he walks away, 5-10 minutes later, you can still hear him crying. I think he's probably still crying to this very day, or I'm somewhere hidden deep in his subconscious as Father Christmas. But, the day kind of falls into a rhythm. These wonderful children come up, they ask for the things that are in their hearts. Mostly they're asking for toys. And I love that, because toys are how we apprehend the world. Toys are how we make sense of this whole thing that we're living through. The afternoon changes slightly. The afternoon changes because people have had a couple of pints. It's Christmas shopping. It's day before Christmas. Have a couple of pints. And so what I can only describe as tipsy cougars kind of arrive, and it's like, oh, Santa, can I have a present, please? And it really makes me kind of quite sweat. And obviously, this was before the Santa 2 movement. So please don't judge those women by the standards of today, okay? It was a different time. So, yeah, and then after the cougars, there were teenagers, and the teenagers were throwing coins from the fourth floor, because the one thing teenagers want more than anything is to just be able to make each other laugh, and throwing coins at Father Christmas does make you laugh, apparently, if you're a teenager. Okay, so suddenly it's kind of all over, and the elves are putting up the bar, and I'm just like, no, I want more dads and cougars and amazing children, and I think I found the meaning of happiness, happiness, it strikes me, is like an energy that you have to generate every single day. It's not something given, you just make it. Like bread, you just make it, that's the way it is. And so I feel absolutely kind of, like I've learned something profound. And then I just kind of stumble out and I walk towards the high street, and then I see another Father Christmas. I'm like, shit, no, you can't go near another Father Christmas, because if you do that, then, Rudolph will die. Something terrible is going to happen if that actually happens. So I kind of do an about turn, and I kind of head home, kind of a little bit changed by the whole experience. So back to 2024. And my sister rang me this week, and she says, would you? And I say, well, what choice do I have? Because she runs a whole team of Father Christmases all over the south of England. And, generally the hourly rate is about £20 an hour. So if you're just putting on a costume and putting on a beard, you'll earn £160 a day. If you kind of have a belly, like this one, you might earn up to £350 a day if you've got a decent costume. With a beard, you've got the whole thing, that's £500 a day. And so this separated dad, on Christmas Day, will be driving to Ascot, where he will be in a hotel giving out presents as Father Christmas for £500. Pillars of income, whatever you need to do just to kind of keep going. So, yeah, if you are ever down on your luck, if you are ever, put on a bit of weight, all you have to do just to kind of transform the situation is just to buy some Febreze, call my sister, get a costume, and put it on, because sometimes life makes you put on costumes that you're never expecting. But maybe that is what my dad, kind of taught me, and that he went from the highs into the lows, and, he just kept going forward. He just kept going forward. And so, yeah, maybe makes me think a little bit about the sellotape, in the sense that maybe that's what, like, the invisible Father Christmas really is. He is this bit of sellotape, this invisible sellotape that parents use to kind of tape together their children's thoughts about this world, and that no matter what's going on outside, it's all right in here. And so that's my Father Christmas story for you, and thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Christopher. Brilliant. Thank you very much, Christopher. A fabulous tale of Father Christmas.